What's up, everybody? I'm Super Nolan Man, and you are watching the Uncle Cyborg Show, where today we're talking about our review of Split Fiction. But first, he's calling in via mobile today because he is relocating to the home state. He's Uncle Cyborg's Platinum Boy. It's the Hyrule King, Bo Mitchell. Bo, welcome back to the Pacific Northwest, my friend.
Hello. I have become an audiophile just for this week. Yeah, it's good to be back. Weather's great. It's been awesome so far.
Yeah, how are you enjoying rain that is not terrible weather for the first time in years?
Yeah, well, when I left Texas, I kid you not, it was 90 degrees. So this is a lot better.
Yeah, coming in at, the nights have been low 40s, highs of 50 through the day, or, high 50s through the day.
Yeah, I get to wear sweaters again. I like that.
Right? Yeah, when's the last time you wore a long sleeve shirt?
A long time.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's good to have you back, Bo. And as always, he's the man with the mug tattoo. This is a reference to a very popular book, not an actual tattoo. It's the Scourge of 7-Eleven, Matthew Hot Dog Eater, aka Matthew Daniels. Now, Matthew, have people been texting you concerned about your alleged tattoo?
No, but I did have a charbroiled Dairy Queen cheeseburger today, and I burped about 30 minutes ago, and I can still taste it.
Okay.
Now that's a good burger.
That sounds actually awful. And somehow I can taste it in my own mouth now that you've mentioned it.
I can taste the charbroil.
And I'm sure everybody at home can also taste it. So thank you for that, Matthew. If you are new here, this is the Uncle Cyborg Show, where we break down the trending topics and our favorite things about video games while keeping it rated E for everyone. If you like what you hear, click that subscribe button, and if you want to be notified the moment a new episode drops, you can click that bell icon. To be part of the show, you can answer our question of the week and get shouted out on the next episode. This week, we're asking you, what is the best couch co-op game ever? Couch co-op being you
Good
play
question.
it in person with a buddy. Now click pause. Answer before you forget. This video will still be here. You can click pause, you can put in your comment, and then you can continue with the show.
I'll be watching.
Before we go any further, right. Before we go any further, Matthew, what you been playing?
This week, I finally beat Gundam Breaker 4.
Hey, nice.
If you're playing right now, I know what's the big question everybody's been asking. Oh, I want to play as Gundam EX, or I want to play as Gundam GQX, right? Oh, from the hit show Mobile Suit Gundam GQX beginning. Well, guess what? They just added them to the game.
No kidding.
EX is from the Netflix one. They just added them, so that was cool. I was really liking the game, and then I got to the last chapter, and it totally sucks. Long story short,
Not sick.
it was the third one so much better because at the end of the spoiler alerts for anybody who's going to play Gundam Breaker 3 or 4, I guess. At the end of 3, you're like fighting to save a space elevator from crashing to Earth and killing a whole bunch of people. And in this one, a rogue dev takes over the game, and he's going to delete your favorite game. And
so the stakes have never been higher.
Yeah, and there's an AI, right? He captured an AI that's like self-learning and all that, and it's your friend, and all your friends are so worried about it, and they want to rescue it because it's human. Dude, the bad guy's monologuing. He's like, "I want to create a world with human hands, not a world made by AI." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm like what this guy's talking about." Hey, Matthew, last chance, will you join me? My guy's like, I want to join. I was at my TV. I want to join you.
Let me join.
I was on my knees. I was shaking the TV. No. Oh, it was so bad.
I support the cause.
And the bad guy loses. He's like, I was wrong. That's not an AI. That's a human being. I was like, turn off the game. How dare you? See what happens. Where is she? It was so disappointing. Good gameplay.
Nice. How's the gameplay compared to I was gonna say GDB 3?
It's really similar. It's a little smoother, a little easier. It doesn't quite feel as cool. Like in 3, there was a lot of like cool little combos you could do depending on like the weapon. I feel like the attacks were a little more varied. Although this one, I was like, I had my suit so OP going to the final level that I was just hitting like the boss units up in the air, and I was just like juggling them basically. I was combo, hit a special move to hit them up in the air again, combo. So like, I would take out their whole health bar before they could ever hit the ground. That's pretty cool.
Hey, nice. Gotta love a good
You
juggle.
enjoy the power fantasy though, especially if it doesn't come in until late game.
Yeah, I like the what's nice is like you have since it's a bunch of different shows, they probably have like I don't know 30 or 40 different series in there, and so you have a lot of variety in the stuff. I think 3 is the better game, but this one, there's a lot more variety in this one. I think in terms of like levels and mission types.
Okay. Do you feel like it's just incremental improvement over the last game, kind of like in the way that a lot of the annual sports games add adjustments, or do you feel like this one has a different philosophy from a gameplay?
This one has full English. It has English. So the last one was just English text. This one is English text, English voice acting, which is pretty rare for a Gundam game.
Sure.
The UI is a lot cleaner. It plays a lot better. It's a lot smoother. Obviously, it's on the PS5 and not the PS4, but they added some new modes. So I think it's a good improvement, but they take a few step backs in some places. But like up until the ending of the game, I was actually really enjoying it. It was just they got cringe in the last like 2 missions.
It's not the only recent game out of Japan to do that.
Wow.
and we don't need to mention its name, but we all know what I'm talking about.
Very true.
By the way, Matthew, I can't remember if I've mentioned this. If you're done with that PS4, we would like to play our Blu-rays again.
Oh yeah, sorry. It's literally an error.
Oh, you're good. I can come by for it sometime, or just if you think to bring it to work sometime, I can grab it from you there. But not a big deal. So the long short of it, GDB4, it's very feature rich. It sounds like, with some incremental upgrades to your combat.
Yeah, if I was to give it
the ending of the story,
if I was to give it the Uncle Cyborg review score, I'd probably give it somewhere around a 7.
Good game.
I know what you're thinking. What's the Uncle Cyborg review scale? You'll find out in a minute. Stay tuned.
Pay attention to the screen. It'll be there now.
And Bo, we're gonna have plenty to talk about with Split Fiction, but real quick, I want to hear about your time with L.A. Noire.
Yeah,
the classic 2011. I
think it's older than that.
Rockstar game. Older than that? I thought it was okay. 2010, 2011, something like that.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I was kind of talking to you about it the other day. It's for a remaster, air quotes. It doesn't look super great for like a PS4 game. They didn't update any of the textures, it feels like, or very few. So there's like when you're looking at the characters, it's like, man, this looks like a PS3 game, which is too bad. However, the motion capture technology is super impressive still.
It's
like
pretty sweet.
Man,
2010, 2011.
Yeah, it looks like real faces, which is pretty incredible.
Oh yeah. I remember playing through a scene where you go into a diner and you see this man there, and he's played by Leo from Charmed. And I remember seeing that, and I was like, "Whoa, no kidding!" Like it looks exactly like the man. And it's clear, like it's still in that very, Rockstar developed game sort of style, where it's a clear stylized version of real looking people.
Totally.
So it's not like it, but yeah, that I would totally agree that ahead of its time in terms of mocap in general, but just the actual like very lifeful facial animations.
A lot of good memes from that game too.
Yeah, Press X to doubt. Although they changed it for the PS4 remaster, which is so dumb because they changed it to like good cop, bad cop instead.
Oh,
So lame.
boo.
Yeah.
Well, so I played on the Switch, which is supposed to be a
Yeah, it's
Switch
the same
specific
version.
port of that. I remember having the option to doubt sometimes, and other times having to do good cop, bad cop.
Oh, weird. Okay.
I could be misremembering because I played that in. I literally picked it up the day it came out. Like I think it was either launch day or launch window. Um, like it was 2017. I picked that up. Um, so it's definitely been some time. but
Yeah.
but that
Yeah.
was not a good looking game. Playing that Switch version. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's much better anywhere else though, from the sounds of it.
Yeah. I played the original PS3 version
Mhm.
back like closer to when it came out at a friend's
Mhm.
house. And this version, it's like slightly better, but
Mhm.
not by much.
To me, it
Um,
looks like they just up-resed, but the engine
oh
is
yeah,
still
they
Yeah,
did.
lacking.
one of those things where they do like a 4K release and it's like just kind of fixes some of the aliasing, but it looks exactly the same.
Yeah,
That's a
for sure.
apt description.
Yeah. I mean I still like it. It was a lot of fun to play. Um the story itself is really cool, really fun, really interesting. Cole is a very fun character because he'll just
Mm,
go off on people, which is pretty
yeah.
hilarious. Um yeah, I would say the one thing that was dated about it besides the graphics was the driving and like the chase
Oh
sequences.
boy.
Oh yeah, it's very slippery.
Yeah, it was a kind of off. And to get 5 stars, you can't like do too much destruction or like hitting people.
Kill issue?
And collision. Yeah.
Imagine that. Hey, I'll let you know that's a Dark Souls of driving games.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. The I will say, like, even though the detective work is fun and like interviewing people is fun, it did feel like it was um kind of dragged out. Maybe is what I would say.
Okay.
There could have been maybe like if they were doing this nowadays, there would have probably been like more uh like gunplay sequences. But the ones that they do have, they're cool. Feels like a Rockstar game. So it's a
How
pretty
do you,
solid experience.
how do you feel about the on-foot chases?
I think they're fine.
Mhm.
It I'd prefer them over the car at the very least.
I'd agree with that. Yeah. The
Yeah,
one that
you can like
sticks.
point your gun at them and like it'll stop them, and that's kind of cool. Or you can
Yeah.
tackle them. So you have options.
Yeah. The one that comes to mind for me is that I would say iconic. I don't know, like anybody who's played the game knows it, but the construction site doing the
Oh
chase
yeah,
up through there. I remember being really into that, but being frustrated by how things like timed out. Um, and you have a bit of shooting and stuff going on there, if memory serves.
yeah,
Um,
you do.
so so I remember it taking a lot longer than I wanted it to, but that was probably a skill issue more than anything. Because
Yeah,
that was probably like my fourth game coming back to playing video games after being not playing anything since high school.
Roman's Prime Madden 08.
yeah. I think if I was gonna give it a rating, I'd probably give it like a 7.5, like almost an 8. That's probably what I would say. LA Noir. Like
Yeah.
if you're interested in the idea, definitely go check it out. But it's definitely dated. Be warned.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
It definitely deserving of a remake. I think they could do that, and it would be a great time. But
Okay.
yeah,
You got 20 years to wait for
yeah. I mean, yeah. Who knows?
it?
Well, the LA Noir dev, like the lead on that, just got picked up to do a new game with. Actually, let me see that real quick here. Here we go. Okay, so the developer of LA Noire says that they just got picked up to work on some exclusive projects for Rockstar.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Yep. They're doing, including one VR project.
Oh yeah, they actually did have some VR cases for LA Noir. That was kind of surprising.
Yep.
I don't have VR, but sure that'd be cool.
Just like getting as close as you can, staring at them. There's like that's what I liked
Getting
about
right
like
up
the
in their
old
face.
like Resident Evil 7 when they did the VR. They weren't quite as good about the technology yet, so it would scan your you would scan your location, and then it'd do it once, and then it would keep it at that. So if you like crouched down on the floor and you scanned, it would have you at that height. So when you stood up, you would be like towering over everyone. You'd be like 10 feet tall.
It's pretty good. I also want to add in there that they did confirm they are not working on another entry in LA Noire as a series. But they're leaving that behind.
Cowards.
Maybe. So, without further ado, let's give our review of Split Fiction. If all's gone well, a video should be on our channel now about how our review scale works. If you're curious about that, you can click the link and come back. But the need to know information is this. We rate on a scale from 1 to 10, but it is a 20-point review scale, meaning they are in increments of 0.5. So, for example, 7 is pretty good on our scale, and 8 is great. If I had 2 games that were 7s, but I thought one of them was especially interesting or had a satisfying gameplay loop, but it wasn't consistent or ambitious enough to quite be considered great, then I would give it a 7.5. Now, with every game we will be reviewing as Uncle Cyborg, there will be a designated lead reviewer when we have multiple people playing a game. In this case, Bo and I actually played through the entirety of the game together. Beat it.
Did.
Platinum trophy has been added to my trophy
how many trophies
case.
you got?
I have 0.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. And I'm a couple hours into a second playthrough, by the way. I'm actually a couple hours into a second playthrough with McKenna. And even though I am the lead reviewer on this game, Bo will still be giving a score when the time comes.
Yeah.
So, Split Fiction, just some background in case somehow you clicked on this video not knowing what Split Fiction is. Split Fiction is a co-op game that is developed by Hazelight Studios, who are known for making 2-player co-op games. They are the developers of Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. Then they followed that up with A Way Out. And their last game, It Takes Two, it came out in 2021 and was the winner of multiple Game of the Year awards. They knocked it out of the park with that game. They really took their craft to another level there. In 2021, a lot of people would say a weaker year for gaming, but still very much a standout in that year, and a time where, again, their previous games, even though they've been impactful for some people, they aren't the nobody's putting these up there as some of the greats. So now so Split Fiction, a lot of people were highly anticipating this game because cool, you struggled with It Takes Two. Are you going to be able to strike capture lightning in a bottle twice? So that in mind, I've gone back and forth a lot on whether this game is an 8.5 or it is a 9. This game is a blast from start to finish and does some incredible things. But at the same time, I think there are some major areas where it is lacking. Some of which were better in It Takes Two. But I looked at the scale and read the description for a 9 out of 10. which is and those descriptions again will be in the video or on our site when that is up and running. But a 9 out of 10, amazing. It is a wholehearted recommendation. This game isn't just a great time, it is impressive, a standout of its time or genre. And as I read through that, I couldn't think of a better description of this game, despite its issues. So I am giving Split Fiction a 9 out of 10. Amazing game.
All right.
Just top level thoughts. This is a from the ground up co-op experience. Co-op games in most games is either A, both players are doing the same thing and difficulty is arbitrarily added in by raising the requirements for success. Like, now the boss has more health or there's more enemies on screen, something like that. Or B, one player is the real player and the other one just kind of tags along doing really menial type things. The buddy mode on a lot of Switch games. In this game, though,
Yeah, somewhat.
both playable characters are on equal level, and they both have their own moments to shine. But what's really special is how often we shine together. You rarely have the same ability. Yeah, you rarely have the same ability as your friend. As you play through each level, you'll reach different segments where you will be given some kind of ability, and for the vast majority of the game, these are complementary abilities. In one segment, maybe Bo, who played as Mio through our playthrough, had the ability to jump and swing and smash things, while my character Zoe had the ability to move the actual environment around, like literally moving the platforms where they needed to be or getting rid of certain environmental hazards like spikes. And as teammates, we had to build a rhythm with one another because this isn't just a click a button and everything goes where it's supposed to go. It's let me move this thing, and as soon as you are getting past that, I now need to run 30 yards away and try to move the next thing in time for you to get it. But if I get there too soon, I may cause more issues. So to succeed in this game, you need to create a sort of language for the two of you, or success is just not possible. There are places where you progress separately, but you are still needed to help one another. And there were countless opportunities for one of us to possibly maybe move too far ahead and we get stuck or locked out and we have to go back to some sort of checkpoint or try it again. But that, shout out to both the level designers and the play testers for putting in amazing work on this, because we did not have a single point where we needed to reload because we got stuck. And there are literally hundreds of these moments. There is easily 100 moments in this game where that could have happened and it never did. So what I really love about Take-Two as a co-op game is you really need to become a good teammate with your teammate. It is literal team building all throughout. And I think they did an impressive job with this, just like they did in their previous game, It Takes Two. Now, I'm going to pause there before we deep dive, and I'm going to tag in Bo to give his score and also top level thoughts.
Yeah, pretty similar thoughts. I really loved how it was so well put together to the point where there was like maybe one part that I can think of where we're like, oh man, we have to go like this far back. But it wasn't even like, it was maybe, I don't know, like a 30 seconds back. Like they did an amazing job of, making checkpoints that were fair and making it like, there was even some points where like we died and then they would put us like further up. It was like, oh, hey, that was really nice.
Yeah. And to be clear on that, that wasn't like
not like
we both died and they shot us forward. It was like one of us is further forward and the other one's further back, and sometimes they would leap us up to the next person or like just in front of them.
Nice.
Yeah. I was going back and forth on it too. When I first were done, I was like, okay, this is my definitive score. And then I thought about it again, and I was like, maybe it's higher. And then I think I've come to a point where I was thinking about like It Takes Two and like what I think that one is marked as. And so for myself, I think I maybe like It Takes Two better.
Sure.
And that one I have as a rating of like maybe a 9, maybe a 9.5 if I'm like really. I need to go back and play it after this one. Now I like really want to see if it's like actually as good as I remember it to be. I think with this one, it didn't quite get to the same height for me as It Takes Two, and maybe that's some of the things I'm going to talk about later. But for me, it's like an 8.5. I think is what I nailed it on.
That's a very fair score.
Yeah. Which is for me, 8.5 is still one that's like, hey, if you like, you should definitely go check this out.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, that's still a great game.
Yeah, amazing. I had a lot of funny parts with it. A lot of fun. Like, I'm definitely gonna be remembering this game for a while. It was a great time, and I'm excited to play it again for when I get the platinum.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I'll be ready to play this game a third time by then, or maybe Matthew will want to use your buddy pass.
Maybe I'll
that'd be
care about trophies. So
we're getting to that later.
Yeah, so as we're getting into some more of this here, I want to talk about that buddy pass real quick and talk about how Bo and I played this together. So, what they've done with this game is the same thing they did with It Takes Two, and it's very cool. If you purchase the game, you have to play this co-op. There is no way to play it by yourself. At best, maybe you can plug in 2 controllers and try to have one on each hand.
That would be awful.
But it would never work. It would never work unless you got like the PC version and modded in some crazy accessibility features. I don't think it could happen. So to help make that happen, because maybe you purchased the game and you don't have someone to play, couch co-op with, they give you a buddy pass, which means that anybody, not just one person, anybody can go to, for example, the PlayStation Store, and they can look up they can look up Split Fiction, and if they go to the options there's a thing you can click that says Buddy Pass, and you literally just click download, and now you can play that game for free with anybody who has a copy of that game. They just have to send you an invite.
Nice.
Yeah, super easy to find and super easy to do.
That simple. Like, it literally took. We were like, man, I wonder if you're gonna have to like download this whole thing or whatever. Do I need to send you a code or something like that? Nope. I could, if I wanted to, I could shout out on Reddit, just be like, hey, anybody who wants to play Split Fiction, let me know. Download the Buddy Pass, and I'll just send you an invite in game, and that's how it would work. And it's crossplay as well. So we both played on PS5, but say that Matthew wanted to download the Buddy Pass on Steam and play through that way, we could do that. He could do it on Switch. No, you can't do it on Switch.
Probably Switch 2.
No, I was gonna play it too.
Switch 2. Switch 2 is an interesting one. Did you see that Joseph Ferris interview where they're trying to rapid fire questions at him, and they tried to sneak in, is this game going to be on Switch 2? And he started to answer and said, the Nintendo ninjas will come after me if I say anything about that.
Hey, that's a good sign though.
I'm pretty sure that means it's on Switch 2. And that's the next point I want to come to this is this game is on a completely different tier in terms of scope and technical level than their previous games, but it Takes Two in particular.
Yeah, this could only run on Switch 2 probably. I don't think it could run on Switch 1 without it being super
and
bad.
This game is not on PS4 or Xbox One.
You can tell when you play the game. There's a couple sections where it's like, okay, this would never work on a PS4.
Yeah, it runs so clean and there's so much happening. But there is in particular a section at the end that
I can't wait to talk about that.
yeah, it's gonna be one that we gotta kind of dance around with it because we
Oh,
don't give it away. But what I will say is that there is a mechanic near the end of the game that puts to shame ripped apart. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, that's very much a loaded opinion. I'm sure there's plenty of people who disagree with that, but it is that kind of thing where this just does not work on old hardware. I don't think that they'd be able to make it happen unless they had some real Nintendo magic going on.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
So let's start there, I think. But what do you think of this game on a technical level? And we can talk about both scope, like, the things that we did, but also like, how's it looking and stuff like that compared to their previous games.
Yeah, I think this looks definitely better than It Takes Two. And you can even tell that even just like, obviously the characters are a lot more realistic. They did an amazing job on just how the characters look and how they express and emote. There's a few parts, like especially, but I think they did this on purpose with the main villain. He gets like almost cartoony how like ridiculous his face will get, but
It's true.
I think that was intentional. The game looks really good. There's some like really solid parts where like you can see it reflections in the water and it looks really solid. Especially that ending part is like, wow, this is incredible. Like it's incredible not even just from like a graphical perspective, but like from a UI perspective, that part is just amazing. I think this is definitely the best looking game that they've made. I'd say it goes toe to toe with some of the like some other like single player games. Maybe not like
I would agree.
it's not the best looking game ever, but it's looks really nice.
I would say this game looks like an early 2010s, maybe late 2000s DreamWorks movie.
Yeah, a little bit.
Even in the kind of the art style that they're going for there. Things are rendered very well. We were from the get-go impressed by the main characters. Their facial expressions were very lively. Especially they nailed the eyes. Like people say all the time, like the eyes are the the window to the soul or whatever. And when creating something like this where you are trying to give life to things that don't actually have life, that is super important to catch. And they did that. They're the whether it's the eye squinting, you get that little bit of crow's feet going on, or eyebrows not being overly crazy, but still kind of expressive and consistent that way. But what they did really well, and I think they cheated a little bit. I'll explain. The hair was fantastic on these main characters.
Yes.
Excellently done. Now, granted, they gave Mio a pretty short haircut, just right about shoulder length, very simple haircut, and then Zoe I believe she has a ponytail for the entirety of the game. Does that ever change?
Not that I can remember. Yeah, it was like pulled up somehow.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I mean, you can see the strands without anything wigging out or anything like that. Like, this is a high level render.
They use the NVIDIA Hairworks, or
or
whatever it's called.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
I'd be.
That thing
I
like dogged Final Fantasy's performance.
Yeah,
The hair's hard to do.
Yeah, couldn't
Yeah,
tell you,
hair is
but
hard to do.
Yeah, but the Harrison was really fantastic, and it had to be something pretty high level because I mean you can see that these are each individual strands of real like width of hair, like
Yeah.
and they move so good together. It's like they when they did like this head turn early on. I was like, well, that hair was like me taking a very nice brush and just kind of like going across it, or just like waving it around the way that it kind of flowed together. But there's just enough like separation between things that it's kind of like creates a little bit of a wave.
Yeah. It looks good in
It
high
was
action too. I was pretty
oh yeah,
impressed by that.
yeah. There was never any time where we felt like things looked off for any of the main characters. There were a couple NPCs that just
Some
I
of the
think had
beginning
bad
NPCs
faces.
that go into the go into the machine with you are like, what on earth is this character design?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so little, it doesn't really matter.
So let's talk about what you're doing in this game and how it's going down. So if you know the premise of the game, you know that you are playing as two riders who get knocked into this machine or plugged into this machine. I guess depending on how you
Writers,
look
air
at it.
quotes.
Who are basically playing through they're journeying through simulations of stories that they've written or ideas that they've had. One of them is a science fiction writer, one of them is a fantasy writer. So each of the levels you go through is either some sort of take on science fiction or fantasy. So there are probably 8 levels in the game is how you would actually count it, but there
Yeah, roughly.
is that first level is just kind of an introduction, doing a little bit of everything just to kind of set the premise for the game, but also give you a chance to kind of be like, okay, this is how the game works before they actually drop you into the real meat of it. And the last chapter is kind of a mashup kind of thing for your final encounter. So there's 6 real levels that are going on here, and these are sizable levels. I think they were taking us right about 2 hours, you would say, for each one.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like one that maybe was an hour and a half, but yeah, mostly
Yeah,
like two to possibly 2.5 hours because there's some pretty long ones too.
yeah. I think my game clock on this, by the time we were finished, was at 20 hours, but that was including playing with McKenna and us going for everything in the game. We made
Yeah, that
sure to
sounds
get
right.
everything, so we did have to replay a couple sections to get a trophy or something like that. Um, but anyways, uh, so you have 3 levels that are for Mio and her science fiction, and you have 3 levels for Zoe and her sci-fi. And I think this premise, or sorry, Zoe and her fantasy, uh, Mio sci-fi, Zoe fantasy.
Yeah.
So I think that this decision is what is going to hurt Split Fiction for people who played It Takes Two. And Bo, feel free to jump in
Yeah.
here at any time. But in It Takes Two, you had a very clear vision from beginning to end of cool. You are seeing just your everyday life and your house and stuff like that from the um
Small point of view.
perspective of of a very small, literally like smaller than a doll sized person, like like the size of a thumb. Um, is really how big you are in that game. But you're turned into these little toys, so everything is toy-like throughout the entire game. Um, you'll go to sections where you're like in a cuckoo clock, and it
Yeah.
turns into like this whole village based around cuckoo clock, but everything is still very toy-like. Like everything is built around you being miniature, um, and having this kind of uh uh Honey, I Shrunk the Kids kind of experience.
Yeah.
um
Yeah, exactly.
so
Yeah,
so
like you're as
that
small as bugs in a tree and a couple other things like that.
exactly, yeah, so you go to like, all right, you're in a garden, but the garden is huge. You're going through the attic, but again, you're tiny and the attic is huge. or or you're in some kind of like these they like there you have a snow globe level where you're just journeying through the snow globe. But so they had a very clear vision for the game there that gave them an opportunity to do a lot. With this one, I feel like it was too restrictive of them. And
Yeah.
what really hurts them, in my opinion, is if you're going to go all in on these two genres, and your idea is cool, we want to have a bunch of ideas for each genre. You have to really have a great understanding of those genres. And
Yes.
I feel like they showed that off for fantasy. I feel like the fantasy levels were pretty consistent all the way through. I didn't personally care for like the first big one myself, but I still thought it was good. I still had a great time
Yes.
with it. I just wasn't all about that setting there. But these sci-fi ones are they're great levels in terms of like the way they're designed, but the premise of each level and the look of them is so stale. I felt throughout the
Yeah.
entire game. What did you
It's
feel
true.
about those?
Yeah, I feel pretty similarly, and possibly harder on it than you. That to me was the biggest reason why I gave it a lower score than you.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel like the fantasy levels are where they definitely had a lot more of the fun ideas, a lot more of the, like quality, for lack of a better word. The sci-fi, oh man, I it's tough because like I really see what they were going for with, like, they wanted it to feel very separate from Zoe's levels. Um, but yeah, there's really only a few sci-fi levels that I was like, oh yeah, that was a great level. Like in particular, the ones that I was really into were like the one where you're in space and you're like zipping to get to the oxygen. That was cool and like really solid idea. Yeah, there's more fantasy levels that are interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
so and I'm 100% in agreement on this. I felt like the sci-fi was incredibly stale. For
yeah,
reference, and this is why I struggled a lot with where I was going to fall on this, was because the moment we rolled credits on the game, like as we were watching the credits go, I'm talking to Bo about about what we played through and stuff like that. And for reference, we played through the entirety of the game in about a week.
yep,
We started on a Friday, we ended on the following Friday. So not a lot of time passed, right? So the there's only 6 levels basically. And
yeah. So like 3 for me, 3 for Zoe.
yeah, so you have 3 sci-fi levels. I could not remember anything about the second sci-fi level. The
Which is a
entire
great
thing, I
sign.
was just right. So it was that forgettable. Now if I go,
I had trouble remembering it too the other day. I was like, what was that level? I could not remember it.
I'll be honest, I don't know if I could tell you now what it was, except for little sections of it.
Yeah,
Where, like where where you're turning into, like at one point Mio turns into like a little boat and my character is like, we're like these little Beyblade looking things. And Mio
yeah,
transforms into a boat to go across like some poison you know lake or something like that, and I hop into the boat um as my little orb or whatever. And that's about, like, I remember a couple of the mechanics from it. I remember having fun with those, but I could not tell you what the premise of the entire level was.
yeah. I think the biggest reason why a lot of those don't really hit is a lot of the sci-fi, besides the first sci-fi level, it's a lot of like generic metal and like space station
Yes.
kind of vibes. And the characters also like, I remember making a comment about it when it first happened. I was like joking, like, "Oh, are we gonna get a different outfit?" And then they didn't do it. Like
Oh, it's just the
it's like
tiniest
spandex,
little. It's
like
yeah,
for all the sci-fi outfits. It's so stupid. Like, man,
yeah. The opening level for Mio really sticks out because it's this
yeah, that was the best
very
one.
this very Blade Runner, this very cyberpunk kind of thing going on. Lots of
Ghost Runner, a
neon,
little bit.
lots of, your dark, rainy city with all the, fun colored lights around you and things like that. That one had like a clear idea for it, and it felt like everything else was,
Generic sci-fi.
yeah, like cool. You're just
We're in a
gonna,
space
yeah,
station.
you're
We're
gonna,
wearing space suits without the, or like the inner part of a spacesuit, like where it's just a spandex
Yeah.
suit, and yeah,
yeah. Oh, and
a
also
lot
with
of
that,
that.
with the spacesuit, again, that is a side story. And that's what I want to
Yeah.
jump over to in a second. But first, I want to ask Matthew, get involved because he hasn't played through this game. I want to see if Matthew has any questions for us real quick here.
Yeah, go for it.
Two things. One, so their suits, are they like this Tron looking thing? Like in the cover?
There's maybe one that
Well-
kind of looks Tron,
Okay.
and that's actually the second level that Nolan was having trouble
funny.
remembering, funnily enough.
I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
games kind of struggle with the
Yeah.
sci-fi thing, because even
Sci-fi stuff.
to a degree,
I'll admit that.
blanking on the Cyberpunk 2077, right? They have they go out with an idea like of what they're going to do, and they still kind of struggles to not feel like a, if you Google like Cyberpunk
Derivative.
wallpaper, and then you just
Yeah.
put it up against it like us, like not Cyberpunk the game, but like that kind of wallpaper, and you put it next to the game, it's just kind of going to feel like the same thing. Yeah, I feel
I think
like
the tough part about sci-fi is there's so much derision
yeah,
or derivative stuff that
Yeah.
throughout the whole genre.
yeah.
So it makes it
Like
tough.
even across games, playing something like Mass Effect or something like Dead Space, you'll see a lot of similar stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but I feel like fantasy just it's a lot easier to get. Or very, which doesn't make sense because space is bigger than fantasy, isn't it?
So it feels to me that a lot of people, when you ask them what sci-fi is, they all think of technology.
Yeah,
not everybody, but
it's
it's technology or it's space.
Yeah.
It's robots, it's things like that. But
A nice
I
1984
wish
section.
they would have. Right, I just wish that they had, like, silly movies, but things like Tremors, things like
Transformers.
what's the movie? Evolution. Things like that are all the sci-fi movies that do some interesting things with sci-fi, but they're like modern day. They're not your futuristic.
Yeah.
They're not a bunch of robots and things like that.
I
The
do remember
sci-fi
making
in this
a
game,
comment that they should add an alien or something to
yeah,
make it.
right.
Yeah, that was something. Yeah, it was just nothing.
So their
like really
sci-fi is
threatening
just
besides technology.
It's just like kind of like generic futuristic space stuff for all of the
Yeah,
That's
and like
that's
robots.
basically everything. Like everything is all up in the air. Nothing is on the ground or on the earth. Like you're in a prison. It's a floating prison.
Nice.
You're in a city. It's a floating city. Whatever was going on to the second thing, I'm sure that was also up in the air.
With how
The
much
the
they
second one was you drop out of an airship and you have like one that's a red team, and another one that's a blue team. That's the second one.
Oh yeah, it was like a Ready Player One type
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
Except again, a very toned down
Once
version of
once
it.
you drop into it, it's a
And-
generic metal looking base of some kind.
I know this is
You know
something
that
like
opening level in Near Automata? That's what where you're on that giant floating metal craft.
Yeah.
That's what the second and third levels look like.
Okay.
Just all the way through.
So one thing I've seen, and I know you guys probably talk about it later. The only thing I've seen is that there's a whole lot of like references to literally everything in media. Did I see
Yeah,
that?
there's a lot of fun references.
So
to, like,
I
video
feel like they
games
could
and
have just
stuff.
ripped
That was
off.
actually pretty cool.
I feel like they just could have ripped off some other stuff, for science or sci-fi. Like
Yeah, it would have been cool if they ripped off like Metroid or something.
do that. You could
That
do
would have been
Deus
down
Ex
bad.
even for
Man.
more grounded
Yeah.
sci-fi thing.
Yeah, or Dead Space.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Just all of a
They
sudden takes
had-
like an N-rated turn, like a whole bunch of like gore.
Well,
There's
You
Yeah,
just turn into
funny
Doom
you
guy.
there's some points in this where I'm like, I feel like they pulled a fast one on the ESRB here to get that T rating.
Maybe a
'Cause
little, yeah.
There's a couple parts where I'm like, I mean, you watch it doesn't. So a lot of these things that happen in the like way off to the side. So like they're not the full look of what's going on. So you blink and you miss them. But early on in the game, somebody literally explodes. Um,
Yeah.
like like they get like somebody's like squashed by a troll and literally blood goes everywhere.
Nice.
And that doesn't happen
Yeah.
elsewhere in the game. It just happened there.
Is it true
there's
that you
another
just send
part
the ESRB? You just send them like a section
where,
of the game or like a video of like what's in the game, and they read off that.
I'd
I think
like
it's
to
almost like a let's play that they watch
Oh, okay.
to make sure.
yeah, it's
I'm not
along
sure,
those lines, and but they're supposed to highlight it. They so like the ASRB will say, hey, send us anything that's along these lines. So they will send them large portions of the game that have those sections. So a lot of it is kind of like a let's play where they're literally just watching what happens. They're not, to my understanding, they're not getting hands-on with the game, but they're watching what happens throughout it. You just, as the developer, you send over anything that checks these boxes or ticks these boxes of what they're supposed to be looking out for, and they make the decision based on those.
Okay.
That's my understanding of it. I'd love to sometime interview somebody who actually works with the ESRB that
That'd
can
be
tell
cool,
us how
yeah.
that really goes down.
Oh, they just hand us a stack of
But
cash.
from what
and
I've
ask
been
for a
able
T
to,
rating.
yeah, from what I've heard from people who have done, like from what developers have posted in like Reddit AMAs and things like that. That's the general understanding I've gotten of it. So on that note, all the best sci-fi ideas were saved for these things called side stories. So
True.
in the prior games from Hazelight, the way that they will break up sections is you will have, I would say 3 to 4, let's say 2 to 4 mini games that happen in each level. So, for example, in a way out, you can just go and find some dudes in an alleyway playing baseball, and you can just play baseball with them, uh, and you just like do a little home run derby kind of thing, or you're on this farm in one point and you are playing on a piano. It Takes Two. You're in the snow globe level and you have like an actual snowball fight. You what was the one that we really had we got kind of frustrated over, but it was fun. There's like a box car, slot car racing,
Yeah.
mini
Yeah, that
game.
was kind of odd.
So in this game, instead of having these mini games, they kind of up those to the next levels where they give you entire side stories. So the side story is as you are going through your regular scheduled linear level, you will come across like a little orb, and a character will call it out and be like, "Oh, I think I see one of those things over there." And you go over to it, and you both jump into this little orb that takes you on a side story. That is an isolated little idea that typically will go one of two ways. Either it is extremely on rails, more so than the regular levels are, where it is like you're just going from point A to point B almost like it's a race, almost
Yeah.
like it's a moving level, like you're constantly on the go moving forward for those. Or it will be something that's more wide open and you're like walking around exploring these places more so than you do in the base game. There was like, and these are like the standouts of the game for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I will say that the R2, I get outside of the ending, but you can correct me on this if I'm wrong. Outside of the ending, and well, let me just say it's outside of the final two levels. Outside of the final two levels, that last fantasy one and the actual ending of the game, I would say that our favorite parts were those side stories. Am I right on
Oh
that?
yeah, hands down. Yeah, hands down.
Yeah. So
Yeah, those have some of the like funny moments we're gonna tell people about.
yeah,
The side stories usually.
yeah. And I don't want to spoil any of the later ones, but I want to talk just about one of the very opening ones.
Yeah.
I want to leave all the other surprises for later on, but we got to talk about the farting pigs.
Yes, we do.
Bo, take it away.
Oh man. Uh, so they give you to start off. One of the pigs has just this constant power up where it's, or I guess not power, but like ability where it's farting rainbows. You hear the sound the whole time. It's great.
And it launches you up
Yeah.
in the air. Like you go flying like a solid 20 feet or whatever. You can use it as almost like a double jump.
Yeah, basically.
And
Oh, go ahead.
you can spam that button over and over, and it is just a cacophony of pig farts and
Wow.
rainbows
Yes.
all over the place.
Yeah, and yeah, there's some pretty funny moments in that particular side story where there's one that has a trophy tied to it where you literally should I spoil it, or is it cool
I
to
think
spoil it?
I think it's fine to do.
Yeah, you like ram into this ginormous pig, like his belly with the I guess the rocket
Like
farting thing.
he's just there laying on his side, and there's other pigs kind of behind him, like around his tail. But literally a pig that is larger than the buildings around you.
Yeah, you ram into his belly and he just lets out this huge fart. And the other
Green
pigs are
smoke
like
everywhere.
dancing in it and just
Oh, yeah, they're like putting their
Take
hands
it
up
off.
doing this.
Here at the Uncle Cyborg Show, we like farts.
I guess so. But here's the thing: it's not just
Well, funny
not just
farts, not real
Bo,
farts.
because when
I mean, I don't
McKenna
even
and I
like
were
fart
playing this,
humor all that much, but
um,
it's just like, oh my gosh, this is such a hilarious moment.
it really was. McKenna and I were playing through this, and that's actually the last thing that we've done in our playthrough so far. So yeah, pretty early in the game, but but we got through that level, and that
The
was
ending
like
is just
there is only like we've now been married for almost 3 years, and we've been together longer than that, but uh since we've been married, I would say there's maybe only 2 times we've laughed harder than that section there. And great, we were doing some real dumb stuff with it, but it's just so, what the heck were they doing? So
yeah.
to kind of give you an idea of how some more of these side stories go. Uh, what this feels like to me, I'm going to use an example of Astrobot because we've heard from the developers that this is how it went. But with Astrobot, they just had a board that anybody could put an idea up at any time, and they would say, "Cool, we're going to find some way to incorporate this into the game." And
Yeah,
it's
it
split
totally feels like
fiction.
that with the side stories. Oh yeah.
Yes, split fiction. And hear me out on this. Let me hear me out on this. What it seems to me is, all right, is Joseph Ferris, director, and if you've ever seen him in interviews, bizarre, crazy guy. We love him.
He's very bizarre.
But
I'll fight him.
he's kind of
great. He's great though.
kind of chaotic, kind of potty mouth, but he's a hilarious guy. And what this seems like to me is he tells everybody on staff, before you are allowed to clock in, you need to put some kind of idea. Let me rephrase that. I want you to put your worst idea. I want you to think of the dumbest thing you can think of, and I want you to put it on this board before you can clock in for work. And what they did is they went through those, and they found just the absolute most like brain rot dumb ideas, and we're like, now let's make this really awesome. and
Yeah.
and that's what the side stories feel like. There's some of them that do just take on a trope from other games. You'll find references to other video games in some of these, just like you do in the other Haze-like games. This
Did I
isn't
see the
new to
round
this.
table hold was in the game?
No, there's a reference to Dark Souls though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw a screenshot of something.
Oh.
Sorry, I had to mute for a second. It did mute, right?
Yeah, I did.
Sweet.
You're good.
Okay. My dog was being bad. Anyways, So yeah, you just get these really bizarre, off the wall ideas in these side stories, and I feel like they're a lot of my favorite parts of the game. Although I
Yeah.
would say that the gameplay of the actual levels is a lot better and a lot more consistent.
Yeah, it's true.
Um,
These are more just like playgrounds for you to
Yeah.
have fun in.
yeah,
Um,
and go ahead.
oh, I was gonna ask if we could like spoil the if he's cool that
So-
like spoil the ending to that one because he's gonna get a kick out of it.
We'll leave that for people who to play the game.
Fair enough.
I think that's something that most viewers would like to go in blind to.
Yeah, go in
Yeah,
blind so
that's
you can
true.
see how the fart
So,
pig
in
ends.
fact, I'm not gonna go into any detail on any of the other ones. All I'm going to
Let's just
say
say there's
is
a
that
running joke that you'll get a kick out of, Matthew, because it's in the game.
Interesting.
Yes.
Joke, I'll get the kick out of him.
so, and then I want to say about one of the other side stories, just to give people an idea of what they can expect of these. Is there's another one where you are dropped into like this. It's not Hogwarts, but it feels very Harry Potter, kind
Yeah,
of.
Very magic.
Yeah, very magical area
I loved
that's
that one.
very much like 6-year-old Halloween. And you go to this place, and it's just a wide open area. You can go to any of the locations at any point. It's just like you have this little hub where you can get like these magic tools and things, and you can go around to these different areas and come back, and you can interact with just about everything there. I died laughing at some of the interactions that we could do. I saved
Best
some
part
of
about
them.
it is you could push a kid down
Well,
and
I
take all
wanna-
his glutes.
Yeah,
Nice.
I want to keep from spoiling
Just like
Yeah,
real
that's
life.
all I'll
any of
say.
this
Yeah.
later stuff there, but
Had to say it. Too funny.
it gets we had an absolute blast with these. So
I love
Hey.
that area.
So one of the complaints I've heard about this game is I've heard people say, "Oh, these side stories should have just been the entire game," and
That
I
would have
think
been
they
so
kind
hard.
of that would be incredibly difficult to do. But I also feel like these work because they are so short. Like you can
Yeah,
you can
And there's such a
get
break
through
from like what it has been.
yeah, you can potentially get through any of these in like 3 minutes, but most of them will take you between 10 and 20 minutes. I think the
Mm.
longest one we did was were the ones that we liked and we just wanted to just goof around in for a while. Some of those
Yeah.
took us about 30 minutes. But these really are meant to be the pace breakers and just to be here's your bit of whimsy before we go back into the actual game where you have very clever mechanics where you are moving forward towards something, where this is just have a little break, goof around for a bit, because we are going to go with a slightly more serious tone throughout the regular levels.
Boo. More fart
But
pigs.
To be fair, the rest like the actual levels are there's some great moments in the actual levels too. They're just more spread out. It's not like the side stories where it's like all crazy moments all the time.
So
Yeah.
With that, I think that this game has higher heights than any of their previous games. I think that the best
That's
parts
fair.
of Split Fiction far outweigh the best parts of things like A Way Out and It Takes Two.
Does it top dunking on the kid while his parents are arguing in the background?
Yes.
That's the greatest
think
moment
so.
of all time, man.
I love that part.
It's pretty
I'm
good.
gonna take him and leave, and I'm doing a 360 between the legs dunk on a kid.
As a fat
It's
cop.
probably not good if you're
Yeah.
the guy who's stuck in the cutscene talking.
It was pretty good. I mean, I remember doing that. I played that game with Bo as well, and we had fun with that. But this game is
Yeah, I
higher
agree.
heights. I think the gameplay sings a lot more. Like when you're doing these mechanics, there are so many times where I can't think of a single level where we didn't have at least 2 or 3 times where we were like, oh, that was really clever.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
But we would also come across sections where things just there's no there I don't want to say no part where the gameplay doesn't feel good, because I think there was one in the final sci-fi level where we had this little section that
Oh, the
gets kind
prison
of
level. Oh
yeah,
my
we'll
god.
leave it to for people to discover because the idea is very cool.
You'll
Yeah,
I
discover
think
why
it's
this
that
game
level
got
just
an
is
8.5 and not a 9. From
that level does kind of drag out, that level in
um
particular.
yeah, so
Also,
we
dishonorable mention to the voice acting and the boss in that level. Wow.
oh, right. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
worse than the
So
Underminer.
well, there's a specific boss in that level, and that's actually what we're
I don't
talking
know
about.
what they were thinking with that one.
They were thinking,
Uh,
crap, we gave a
Anyway,
release
I won't
date.
spoil it,
Gotta hurry
obviously.
up.
yeah. So, anyways, that's a so outside of that, everything else in the game I felt worked exactly the way they intended to on a gameplay
Yeah.
level. But there were so many moments where we were just impressed by how smooth things went and that they would give us
Yeah, feels
opportunities
really
to do
tight.
cool things together if we had really good teamwork. In the Final Fantasy, there's not a level about Final Fantasy, but the final of the fantasy levels, there is a part where it's we're kind of stuck together doing something in kind of a cat dog kind of way,
That dog.
and
Yeah, I love that part.
we are having to do some real crazy platforming, but because we really got a good rhythm going, we were able to, I mean, we literally skipped sections because we were that on fire with it, and
Yeah,
everything, the movement was so good, your momentum going through makes sense, you're not just suddenly stuck on things. And what is really great about this game is how forgiving they are with the platforming, and I feel like that's the secret sauce of this game.
yeah.
Is
Platform is
they
really tight.
yes, they make the platforming very forgiving. Where if you're close to it, they're like, you knew what you were supposed to do here. You were going to let you do it. Like your timing was close enough on this, so there were parts where like I'd swing over to grab this thing and maybe I missed it by just a little bit. All of a sudden, just yoink, I'm all of a sudden on it. And you still have to get close to
We
it.
call that
But if you're
we
going to
call that
miss it,
reviewer mode.
if you're ever going to miss it by that much, um, if you're ever going to miss it by that much, then it'll just be like, cool, you're on it. Or they'll do like a little bit of a climb animation to get that last thing if you did fall just a tiny bit short. But before the type of game this is, it was super necessary.
Yeah,
Especially
for sure.
because of how much of this is timing related and how much you need to be in sync with things, that there needs to be something available for the inevitable delay that there's going to be. And we never felt like there was any big discrepancy there. Like we weren't pinging all over, there wasn't lag, but just the nature of this being online primarily, aside from the people who are literally doing couch co-op, um, there needs to be a little bit of forgiveness for that. And it made this game so much fun to play all throughout. I never felt like
Yeah.
we were beating our heads against anything that wasn't related to a trophy. Um,
Yeah, that was one trophy that gave us a little bit of trouble, but
yeah,
even then, like we nailed it out within 30 minutes.
yep, yep. So,
Real quick, shout out to that last fantasy level. The ambience in that level, holy
so
cow,
so
it
good.
looks so good. That actually, yeah, that level is where the graphics really pop, and you're like, okay, this game looks great.
Yeah. And
I love
yeah, the
that
last
level.
fantasy level and then the
Random tangent,
final
but
final level were both like
yeah, final level is just
they were
something else entirely.
they were some of the most impressive things I've seen in video games, especially the final level here. I don't think anybody's
Yes.
prepared for what they're going to do there, but we'll say it this way, it seems like they're building to something and they act like they're not going to do it, but then they do the thing. And
Yeah.
you're going to know it when you
It's a
see
bit
it.
of a fake out, and then they do it
Um
for real.
Wow.
Yes, but we're like, oh, I thought for both of us, we're like in unison. Oh, I thought they were going to do this, and then literally 20 seconds later, we were doing the
Boom,
thing.
pardon me.
Yeah,
We're
they
like,
got
Stay
it.
let's
right in this one.
go. So, anyways, do you have anything before we do final thoughts on this?
Let me look through my notes really quick. I'm pretty
Cool.
sure I got
Well,
everything. The rest of it's pretty spoiler.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. One thing I will say is, I feel like sometimes, and I remember you mentioned this too. Some of the fantasy worlds, the puzzles were a little bit too easy.
Sure.
And then like the prison levels were definitely where the puzzles were a little bit better. But that's like a minor complaint. Where like, you know, you can see the argument of like, okay, it's supposed to be a bit more casual, but yeah, like you and I definitely both like puzzles a lot. So it would have been nice if they would have added a couple harder ones, like in the maybe in the side stories or something. But
yeah, I felt like
yeah,
I felt like the fantasy levels were just all about the fun all the way through, and you just having these kind of, you know, epic scenes and stuff like that. And the sci-fi is where they did the really clever puzzles, where we had to kind of think about things a little bit more. It was never something that was all too difficult to figure out, and I think that this is a very good game for people who don't play a lot of games, because most of the buttons make sense pretty easily. There's not a lot of things you're having to figure out.
I found another part that I need to talk about.
And then last thing I'll say about this is
Sorry, go ahead.
like this is absolutely a T-rated game, and it earns that T rating. But if you're someone who's cool with that and you want to have like younger, you know, players with you, like you have, like, you know, like a, you know, 7-8-year-old kid, they could fully play through this game with no problem. There would be sections that'd be a little tricky, and you'll probably, you know, butt heads a little bit through one or two sections during the game, but like there's nothing that is overly demanding of the player. It really is just a, hey, take 10 seconds to figure this out, and then, you know, go through the couple tries it takes for you to do it, and then you're on your way. The game never stands in your way of progress, which I so appreciate in a co-op game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the other thing that I found that I was going to talk about was not that this like super matters to like either Nolan or I'm pretty sure, but we definitely noticed it. The story is definitely
It's bad.
one of the weirder. Yeah, it's straight up laughable in my opinion. Like there is multiple times where like the villain just does these things that is like straight up twist, like mustache twirlingly evil. Like how could you even justify that you're doing this kind of evil?
The part I think I laughed the hardest the entire game was unintentional. It was near the ending. It was basically at the end of the game where this isn't exactly what's going on, but there is a section that might as well be, wow, that sure was weird. Hey, let's get out of here. And
oh yeah, I remember that one.
And I died laughing because I could not believe that was actually what they decided to go with.
Gosh, yeah.
And here's my thing about the writing is the main characters, when they're not trying to do something with the story, I feel are actually pretty well written. I think that they have okay dialogue. I think that's just the conflict that they try to have, because it's just the, oh,
They
you think I don't see how anybody could love sci-fi. Well, I don't understand how anyone can enjoy fantasy, blah blah blah. So it's of course they're going to both start enjoying the different things. Like it's so heavy-handed. When they're not doing that, I actually think the writing is pretty fire. Especially side characters.
I definitely have a problem with when they try to have these, like, you know, having a moment or like growing kind of things where it's like, oh my gosh, did you have to go for the most cliche things for them to say?
All right, we reached this part of Barney where we've got to give you the moral of the episode.
Yeah. It's like, oh man, I had this emotional moment happen in my life, and then it made me grow, and now I'm realizing that I'm a better person for it. It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you're playing with a co-op partner, it does give you playing to poke fun of, and I think that is a valuable thing. But the writing does get kind of frustrating at a point, and I will say that the writing just doesn't. The writing doesn't. The reviewers were the ones who were mad about it.
Trust. They love that stuff.
Yeah, they're probably more mad.
They love that stuff.
But sorry, I'm having a noisy dog and a noisy baby at the same time. And they are literally both right next to me here.
We can cut
So
this out. Joel.
we're good. If Matthew comes across us and wants to cut that 10 seconds or whatever, that's fine. But anyways, I was gonna say my final thoughts on the game was this is a game that wants you to enjoy playing the game. They want you to see the next thing they came up with. It doesn't want you to bounce off or whatever, or want you to have a bad time or get annoyed or get frustrated. So they keep you moving all the way through, which I think is why people are so unified in how long it's taken them to get through this game.
Mhm.
Because everybody's like, yeah, about 14, maybe 15 hours. I haven't heard anything otherwise from anybody, because they have a clear pace and vision for the game. I feel like these sci-fi elements in particular, and feeling like they need to split things between this is all sci-fi, this is all fantasy, and that will just give people the break with these
Side
these little
stories.
side stories.
Yeah.
I think kind of got in their own way, specifically when it came to the sci-fi parts. But there
Yeah.
is nobody who does co-op better than Hazelight right now. And I
For sure.
wish, and I feel like they're pushing not just the genre forward, but I think the industry forward to care more about this and be intentional with how they build these co-op experiences. And I think
Yeah.
this is another banger for them. I will say that as a whole package, even though Split Fiction to me had far higher heights than It Takes Two, I feel like It Takes Two is a better experience.
Yeah.
That said, I feel like they're on the same tier. And even though I think that It Takes Two is just a slightly higher bar than Split Fiction meets, if I had to choose between the two, I'm probably going to go Split Fiction, because they had the
Okay.
experiences that stick out the most to me. But I mean, both are fire games. I would say if I'm being super objective again, I think It Takes Two is a little bit better than Split Fiction. But for myself, I think I prefer my experience with Split Fiction.
Yeah. I feel pretty similarly. I think it's a really awesome game. And they definitely nailed that whole keeping people moving, keeping people having a fun time kind of vibe. There's definitely some things that they did better than It Takes Two in here. I think for myself, if it was like me recommending something, I'd probably recommend It Takes Two over it personally. But I would definitely, like, within the same sentence, be like, oh, also go play Split Fiction because it's really great too.
Totally agreed. Totally agreed.
Yeah. This is, I mean, like, this is definitely one I'm probably gonna be going back, like, even after the platinum and playing it with people if they ever, if I'm want to play a co-op game with someone, this is the game to do.
Absolutely. If you are someone who has a co-op partner to play with, like, some of my cousins play games together. This is, I am telling everybody who feels that it is age appropriate, because again, maybe for the little ones, there might be a couple things in here that is like, content wise. Again, there are a couple things that are just a little bit graphic. There's a lot of S bombs throughout the game. But
yeah, that's probably the only reason this game got a T was the S bombs.
that and there are a couple things that are fairly violent.
Yeah,
but they're so short. They're little blips. That's definitely not the focus. They are, every single one of them is a blink and you miss it kind of thing. But there's not a single co-op duo that I would not heavily recommend and say these are both must-play games.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, one thing is for sure, that Split Fiction is a pretty big game compared to the prior games from Hazelight, but I'm not looking for a big game right now. I'm looking for something more miniature. And in this week's mini game, we're playing another round of 21 questions. In this game, our gamers will have 21 yes or no questions to come to the title of a predetermined video game. A title may only be guessed once, so if after 10 questions you incorrectly guess Paperboy, the game is over and one will be added to the L column. Remember, this is a team sport, so feel free to work together. And no, you can't ask about the title, only the game. except if it's along the lines of, is this a numbered sequel? Contestants, let's see here. Google. Now, we have not lost a round of 21 questions since we started. So
Today's
that
So far.
said, right? Yeah. So far, that in mind, do you guys want an easier one or do you want a harder one?
What you feel, Matthew?
harder.
Yeah, we can
Harder
go
one.
harder.
Someday we'll have to get it
Okay.
wrong first time.
Okay.
You have to let us know if you got it in the comments.
Well, let me
without
put this. Let's put it this way: easy, medium, or hard. Do you still want hard? If medium is an option.
Well, if
So what have we been doing?
Yeah, what have we been doing? Because like, is Bioshock Infinite easy or medium?
BioShock Infinite is medium.
All right, Bo, do you think we can go better than Bioshock?
Let's try hard.
All right, hard.
Alrighty.
That's
Okay. Let me make sure I've got the wiki pulled up here.
Yes, if
so
we get
that
a
I can
fact wrong, blame the
correctly answer
wiki.
your questions. Right.
Put your guesses in the comments. If you're wrong, I'll give you the pin of shame.
And if
Super
I-
Mario Bros. 1.
if there ever is a question that I cannot definitively answer, I will tell you, and you will not be costed a question. So,
Okay.
all right,
Yeah.
let me grab this and. All right, you guys may begin.
All right, Bo, you go first.
Was it a game made before 2010?
Sorry,
What the question
sorry.
we
Give me
always
one
ask.
second here.
That's a good question, man.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry, I'm pulling
Knocks
something
out
up
like
here.
half of
Okay.
gaming, basically.
Yeah.
Let's look at that reflection.
I can see his fingers swiping a little bit.
Sorry.
If you can read what's on his glasses, comment below.
You can't even. Is that Donald Duck? Are you watching football highlights?
No.
He's
Sorry.
slanging.
Give me one second.
Is
Give
it
me one second.
before or after 2010?
No, sorry. I wanted to pull this up so I didn't have to pull stuff up again. Okay, sorry.
You're fine.
So with your first question, you asked if this was. Were you asking if it was before or if it was after 2010?
Before 2010.
No.
Oh, a newer one this time. All right.
This game come out after 2020.
No.
Okay.
Okay. So a 10-year window there. Let me think of game consoles.
Luckily, we're at the simple time where it's just pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much the newer-ish ones. Did this game come out on the Switch?
Can you?
I mean, this is a yes or no question.
Well. So. So that
Let
me make sure. Let me make sure.
Published.
Let me make sure.
So it might
Because
have multiple releases.
your question was, did this release on the Switch at all? And let me
at all.
let me make sure. Because
Okay.
I don't believe it did, but I want to make sure so I don't steer you wrong.
Yeah, you're good. So it
Okay.
might be a multiple release
No,
kind of game. Huh?
This game did not release on Nintendo Switch.
I'll release it.
Okay.
That's 3.
I want to knock out like Xbox, like 360, PS3, and
Ask if it
Wii
came
U.
out after like 2014.
Okay, this game come out post 2014.
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Not on the Switch, so it's a PlayStation, Xbox, or PC.
Yeah.
Unless it came out on the 3DS.
That's true, actually. I didn't think about that. Yeah. Should I just ask that now?
Yes.
And we can just knock
Ask
out
him.
Nintendo.
Ask him.
All right. Did this come out on the 3DS?
No.
Oh, that would be
Okay.
funny.
Oh, but Wii U. Dang it! I should have asked if it came out on Nintendo at all.
Well, the
That
Wii
would've
U
knocked
was
it
the Wii U
easier.
out in 2014. Oh wait, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
We should have just asked if it was on Nintendo. We gotta play smarter, not harder.
All right. How many questions are we at?
That was 5.
Jeez.
Did this game come out on the Wii U?
No.
Okay.
Oh, it could be on the 2DS.
No, I'm not asking that.
What about the new Nintendo 3DS?
I counted the 3DS families of systems.
That's good.
I counted the
figured
Wii
you
U family of systems, and I counted the Switch family of systems.
Okay,
So
so
at least PS4, Xbox One. It could be all on the. Oh yeah.
maybe I should just
Or
ask if
PC.
it came out only on PC because that would narrow it down to. Is that a good idea?
Yeah.
Or should I just ask?
I mean, yeah, because then that'll. Yeah. Well.
Okay.
Well, or do you mean did it come out exclusively on PC?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's what I
yeah.
was gonna ask.
Okay.
Or actually, what we could do, we could just ask if it's a console exclusive game, and then we'll know.
Okay. Well, then again, that might. There's a lot of games on PC and Xbox and PlayStation.
Maybe we should just move on to genre. That might help.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this an action adventure game?
No.
Okay.
On action adventure. This game an RPG.
No.
I think. Maybe I should ask if it's a racing genre.
Maybe.
Is this a racing game?
It is not.
Okay.
More genre, I guess. Is it a platformer?
It is not.
Okay. So that
That's
Oh
10.
boy.
that narrows out a lot
Oh,
of stuff
boy.
though.
Yeah, it does.
So it could be a shooter,
Yeah,
it could be a
a
sports
shooter
game.
still. It could be a sports game. It could be an RTX.
Could be or a strategy of some kind.
Yeah.
Is this game a console exclusive? Like exclusive?
It is
to
not
console?
exclusive to consoles.
Okay. Oh
It's
boy.
it's nothing like Halo Wars or Gears Tactics.
Yeah.
And
Man. Yeah, that's tough. Should I ask like a genre question again? I feel like I don't know.
think of. Should we try to narrow down a year? Because what right now we're
maybe.
2014. No, we're 2014 to 2020, right?
Yeah.
What would be like a good year 2017 maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Just ask if it came out before then.
This game come out before 2017.
It did not come out before 2017.
Like 17, 18,
Oh.
19.
So newish. Or newer-ish. Oh man.
What genres are left? Racing? No, shooter. I guess we can ask if it's a first-person shooter.
Oh, I had a good idea for a question.
Yeah.
I could ask if it sold more than 1 million copies.
I don't know what game sold what copies. So
Yeah, but that would tell us
Oh,
how popular this
Oh
is.
yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Did this game sell more than 1 million copies?
Yes.
Okay, so it's popular enough.
It's either a shooter or something like Madden or something.
Yeah, feel free to ask if you want for
Is
genre.
this a
but
first-person shooter?
I'm going to give an asterisk to this one, and I'll explain in a second. Yes, it is a first-person shooter.
So you could probably
can also
toggle
be
between them.
You can toggle.
So Fallout is not Fallout's not a Fallout's RPG. Toggling. I'm trying to think what games let you toggle. Do any battle royales let you toggle?
oh, yeah, So he might mean like you can toggle between like first person shooting and third person shooting.
That's correct.
Okay.
Overwatch.
Oh, I just had a weird thought. I think you can toggle between that and like stuff like The Division, unless I'm mistaken.
What year did Division come out? That was 2016, didn't it?
No, that was like 2019, I think.
For The Division? I thought that came out in like
Division 2.
Division
2.
How many questions are we at?
We're getting up.
You have asked 14 questions.
Okay, so we have
So you get in
6
there.
questions, and then we have to guess. Should we try to narrow it down by, I guess, studio or something?
Yeah, I mean,
I guess we could ask if
we could ask like.
Oh,
if
has
it's
Ubisoft made
a
anything
Ubisoft.
besides The Division that could be that?
I mean, they've made like Siege and Far Cry and.
Far Cry is first person. Siege is first
Yeah,
person.
yeah. I mean, yeah, we could just ask if it's made by them, and then.
Is this made by Ubisoft?
This is not made by Ubisoft. That's
Shoot.
15.
It's got to be some
So
kind
including your guess, you have 6 questions remaining. So think carefully through these.
Yeah.
Can you do first person in Fortnite or no?
Yeah, I think you can now. I don't know about at launch, but
So we'll put. I think we might be able to put Fort because it's sold over 1 million.
maybe we should get that. Like
PUBG also, I think you could toggle maybe.
Yeah.
Is it?
I don't know.
Do we ask if it's a battle royale, or is that too deep, or is that too narrow a question?
I mean, we could. Yeah. We really need to narrow it down somehow at this point.
Is this
It's
game
like
a battle royale?
It is not a battle royale.
I guarantee I didn't play this game. No chance.
Man. So you can toggle between first and third person.
Shooters that came out not exclusive to consoles. Overwatch, you can't toggle. I think
that's only specific characters.
I think other shooters. I know Overwatch came out in 2015, I think. 2016.
Yeah, Overwatch was like 2016 or something.
And you can't toggle in Doom, can you?
No, I'm pretty sure you can't.
Okay.
Man, I cannot think of a game. I'm sure I'm gonna, as soon as he says it,
how many do we have?
Know exactly what it is. I think we've got like 5 questions left.
So 5 questions, including your guess.
Okay, so we got 4.
Yeah.
Was it worth asking if it's a? I mean, is it worth asking if it's a? I don't think asking if a AAA dev would help us at all.
Probably not. I mean, if it's sold more than 1 million, we've probably heard of it. So there's that.
So Halo, you can't.
Yeah, no, not Halo.
I'm trying to think of stuff that's come out on.
Now, just throwing this out there, I don't want to steer your guys' direction of thinking because I don't want to screw you up. Because again, I want you guys to guess it. But I was just gonna let you know that you can ask kind of meta questions. It doesn't as long as you're not asking about the literal name of the game, like ask things trying to get like what letters are in the title. Anything aside from that goes. Even like personal experience and stuff like that. That's all.
Okay.
We have 3 questions. 4 questions.
Again, not trying to steer it because I think that there's a couple different directions you could go on this to get there. So I'm just let you guys think through it.
Shooter. Portal is first person.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other.
That's older than this.
Portal 2 though. Oh, that was maybe 2015.
That's older than this.
Oh yeah, true.
I had a weird thought, but I don't think it's it. I thought of Resident Evil 7, but I don't think I know that 8 you can switch between first and third person.
First person.
I don't think you
7.
can. Yeah, I think 7 is only first person, so that's probably not it.
Not that.
Man.
2017 to 20. Man,
Yeah, I'm stuck. I don't know. I don't even know what to ask either because I feel like at this point it's like narrowing down a sliver instead of narrowing down a pool. Stuff.
If I may give a suggestion, try to find a way that you could split the shooters in half by by how much you're having to work through there. See if you can eliminate a ton of shooters. Because we haven't done a whole lot of these yet. We haven't had to get into real nitty gritty like this. Like I said, this one's hard mode.
can't be Battlefield. It can't be a Battlefield. It can't be a Call of Duty. It can't be Hell of Honor. It can't be. So it has to be something where it's not like a military game. I don't think those ones.
Again, unless you could toggle in one of them. Again, not leading you guys. Just reminding.
I mean, we asked, unless I'm misremembering, we asked if it was a first-person shooter, right?
Yeah, he said it is, but you can.
Yes, and it is a first-person shooter where you can toggle to third person.
Okay. Oh, I just had a weird thought, and I don't know if this is accurate or not. Was Anthem? Could you toggle that in Anthem?
I do not know. I didn't play Anthem.
I didn't either.
You just want to ask if it was made by EA?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, we could do that.
What's this game?
Was this game made by EA?
This game is.
Or maybe even.
So it is. Are you asking if it was made by them or if it was published by EA?
Maybe just ask
because EA is not a studio.
Yeah, was EA involved with this at all?
Yes, they were.
Okay.
So we have what? 2 questions left or 3, including.
You have 3 questions left,
including.
And it is so 3 questions and a guess if you want to look at it that way.
Man, so Anthem's on the board. Titanfall 2. You're toggling that?
I don't think you can toggle in Titanfall 2. I'm pretty sure that one's all first person.
Okay.
Unless you got the mech gameplay, but I'm pretty sure that's first person, unless I'm mistaken. It's been a while since I played that one.
Did Titanfall have a bad launch or no? Was that just Anthem?
Anthem had a bad launch, but both definitely sold more than 1 million.
Okay. I'm trying to think of a way we can narrow it down to Anthem without asking because Titanfall,
can you toggle? I had another thought since it's EA. Can you toggle between first and third person in Battlefront, like in any of them?
Oh,
I don't think you can. But
I know.
Maybe I'm mistaken.
I think the heroes are in third person.
Oh, I guess Star Wars Battlefront. Yeah, that's an option.
So Battlefront came out before, but Battlefront 2. Good.
I think we could maybe roll out Battlefront now that I think about it, because you're not toggling like he was saying.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe I'm focusing too much on that. I don't know.
How do we ask if it's Anthem without asking? Oh, I know.
You could ask if you can fly with a jetpack in Anthem.
But you can fly with a jetpack in Battlefront as well.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Would it be stupid to ask? Did this game have you
could ask if it had a really bad reception, they shut down the servers.
I could ask, did this game have
ask if they shut down the servers.
Wait, did this game have a top brass who saw like a 30-second gameplay demo and moved it on to the mass media?
There you go.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, did not. Okay.
So it's not Anthem. It's not Anthem.
So Battlefront.
Man, we're getting really low.
Battlefront, Titanfall.
You've got 2 questions and a guess.
Shoot. I don't know what to ask.
Titanfall. Is this? We could have if it's a numbered title.
That could maybe help.
It'll still be between Titanfall 2 and Battlefront 2, but
yeah, that's true.
But if we're totally off, then this would help.
You could ask if it has mechs in it, because I'm pretty sure Battlefront doesn't have mechs.
It has the little like the little walkers, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
This is stupid. Should we just ask if it's
I don't-
a numbered? Because that'll at least let us know if we're on the right track. I think.
I don't feel like it's Battlefront because
By the way,
you don't really.
again, I don't want to lead you because but just for future reference, you can ask if it's part of a certain franchise.
You know what? Yeah, I don't think you can.
That's not asking about the title. Like you can ask if it's part of a franchise.
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay.
Because
it seemed like you were trying to figure out between two different franchises. If that was going on, you could just
I guess
ask about the
kind of.
franchise.
I feel like we're still pretty stuck in the moment in some regard. Ah, man.
Should we just ask if it's because we have one more question, right? And then we have to guess.
You have 2 questions and a guess.
So should we just ask if it's in the Titanfall franchise? And then we.
Yeah, at this point we might as
All right.
well.
Is it in the Titanfall franchise?
It is not.
Shoot.
Battlefront's
I
on
have
board.
no
What
idea.
games have we not? Oh wait, that game.
That
No
game.
Way Out or Way Out. Can you toggle between first and third person?
Oh, there's.
That's not a first-person shooter, though.
I don't think it's that.
Oh, well, I was thinking maybe because he said it earlier, he might bring it up.
Man.
First-person shooter.
Yeah.
Medal of Honor was not first person, or was not third person at all.
I'm pretty sure it was like dead by this point,
But they released
or basically dead.
I think they released a VR.
Yeah, I think we should get that out. I don't think it's that.
Completely. What would EA? So post 2017, 2020 basically.
Pre-2020, post 2016.
Mass Effect.
2017 is still on the table.
Did Mass Effect Andromeda come out?
Yeah, I think
Does
so.
that count as first person? I mean, it technically is, yeah. Man, a BioWare would be a good. Would BioWare? No, because we should have asked that for Anthem.
Oh yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, we should have. We're learning.
Did BioWare make Titanfall 2 or no?
No, they didn't.
Okay. Oh, it's not even
nice.
part of the Titanfall franchise, he said.
But we already asked about Titanfall, so
I mean, we could ask if. So if BioWare did make it, I think the only one that came out was Andromeda.
Yeah,
because
I think you should ask that.
It was made by BioWare.
Is that your guys' final question before you have to guess?
Yeah.
It was not made by BioWare.
Dang it. We're screwed. Oh my gosh. I have no idea.
Think of what games. No Battlefields. Battlefield never did third person.
So the only thing I can think of, unless my dates are wrong, is like Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
That's the only one I can think of.
Because it had to have done big numbers, over 1 million sales.
Yeah, it definitely did. But what I'm nervous about is like the date. Because it might, is it 2017 when that came out?
It's because Battlefront came out in like 2016 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of any other shooters besides the ones we said. Like that's let's like talk through. Can you think of any shooters 2017 to 2020 that EA made? That are first person and third person somehow.
Oh, if it wasn't, the only thing that I'm thinking was Mass Effect. I was thinking Battlefield, but none of the Battlefields you can do that.
Yeah,
they made. Yeah, Titanfall. He said no. Anthem. He said no. Did they put out any type of like looter shooter or anything like that, or any type of like?
No, because it was really just Destiny and what's it called? Borderlands at that point. Looter shooters anyway. And Division 2, Division, but yeah.
Do we just
that
go
wasn't
Battlefront 2?
I'd say so. Let's go with that. Because
is it Star Wars Battlefront 2?
It is Star Wars Battlefront 2.
No way.
Oh man, yes.
Oh
so
my
you
God.
can absolutely toggle in that game, and Bo, we had a conversation about toggling while we were playing it one
You
time.
can?
You can. You just got to hold down on the D-pad, and it switches you to third person.
I was so
Oh,
worried about. I was like,
I
dude, there's.
remember that now.
I was thinking like we're gonna
Also-
Oh my
miss something.
gosh.
Like we're missing something obvious.
Also, just for future
That
reference,
was tough.
knowing if a game is multiplayer would probably be good
Well,
to
all
know
those
if
ones
you
we
were
narrowed
doing
down
a
to
genre
know
as
were
broad as
multiplayer.
shooting.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
shooters are multiplayer anymore. That's kind of why I
Yeah.
didn't go that route.
Yeah, I know because you guys were tossing around things like Mass Effect and Resident Evil.
Mass
and
Effect
stuff
3
like
has
that at one
multiplayer.
point.
Oh wait, that's
Um,
not 3.
But anyways, nicely done, guys. Getting it with on literally
Oh,
the 21st question, so we
that is
remain
clever.
undefeated.
Oh.
Oh man,
That
Well,
was close.
very well done, guys. Now
Some of us
remember
weren't
that
asking
you
if it came out on the Wii U. That was me.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in, the listeners. Remember that you can be a part of what we do here by liking and subscribing, and you can comment answering our question of the week for a chance to get a shout out beginning our next episode. That's going to do it for this week, and thank you for joining us. I'm Super Nolan Man. We've got, I almost said Dat Boy Few, Matthew Hot Dog Eater, and
Matthew Game Guesser.
returning to the Pacific Northwest, the Hyrule King, and you, listener,
Hello.
have a great week.